welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, the Senior Minister of the Sunshine Cathedral. With me today are Bishop Robert Griffin, Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, and Reverend Kevin Tisdall. We are the Queer God Squad. Visit sunshinecathedral.org to learn more about us.
Queer God Squad was created by Hotspots Happening Out to support our mission to explore the value of faith in the LGBTQ community. There is no streaming TV show like this in the entire world.
In 2025, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Hotspots magazine, with Queer News Tonight sharing over 11,000 stories and 11 million views so far. In February, we produce Pride Fort Lauderdale.
We are the largest nonprofit LGBTQ media organization in America, and we encourage you to support our mission to inform, entertain, and educate our community and allies.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral Perspective. Queer God Squad on understanding the identity of Two-Spirit people. The term Two-Spirit is a modern pan-Indigenous term used by some Native American and First Nations people to describe a third gender identity that encompasses both male and female spirits. This is not a concept of sexual orientation, but rather a sacred and spiritual identity rooted in many pre-colonial cultures. Before European contact and colonization, Two-Spirit individuals held respected and honored roles within their communities. They were often seen as being gifted with unique perspectives, serving as healers, visionaries, matchmakers, and storytellers. Their identities were traditionally considered blessings, representing a balance between feminine and masculine energies. The suppression of these roles and the persecution of Two-Spirit people were direct consequences of colonial influence, which introduced binary Western gender norms and homophobia. Today, the term is used to reclaim and revitalize these traditional spiritual roles and cultural understanding. I did a little digging and discovered that many indigenous cultures believe that we people are born gender neutral. We're born just a blank table. And self-identity comes when you get old enough. Now, as I was looking, and they're talking about no group is homogeneous. Indigenous groups are no different than any other group that's out there. And they don't always agree what Two-Spirit means. And that's because there are several different indigenous cultures. You have to look at the specific culture to see what they're looking at in terms of Two-Spirit. Now, the big news, and I'm sure we're going to all be shocked by it, that Western colonialization was the worst thing that happened to Two-Spirit, to almost everybody, but specifically Two-Spirit people. Because, again, you're bringing in things that the groups did not believe in. They understood that we could be one way, another, or both ways. And that went against everything that Western civilization had to beat out of us, literally, I think. Yeah. And Two-Spirit people, as we said in this little vignette, they're trying to work to restore the former glory, to bring back to brush off some of the rust and bring back some of the love that being Two-Spirit can be. And right now, Two-Spirit people suffer a lot of emotional distress because they're trying to balance their world with a world that looks at them in a negative way. So, and I have to say that the first time I ever heard the phrase Two-Spirit was in 1970, of all things. I was watching a movie, Little Big Man, with Dustin Hoffman. He was raised by a Native American tribe, and there were Two-Spirit people there who were venerated. So great for that. Right. That's all.
The department head of the sociology department when I was at university was Osage, and had grown up on a reservation, and I think his father had graduated from Haskell Indian College in South Dakota. Oh. And it's got a different name now, I think. But anyway, so he was always bringing his culture into his lectures and talking about stuff. And he said that in his culture, in the Osage culture, that there were and this wasn't about two-spirit necessarily, this was for gay people though, for gay men, that gay men didn't have to be in the closet. They could be. They could butch it up and just live like a man. Or they could cross-dress as a woman and live that way. So that's fine, if you're bisexual. I mean, yeah, if you're a transgender, if you're non-binary, but that was just part of their culture, that you could dress as one, and you could even be part of a family. Like a man could have a mistress. Couldn't have a woman mistress, but he could have this sort of mistress. So there'd be a man and his wife and his I'll say maybe two-spirit. He never used that word though. Mistress, and then the husband would have to make sure that person had a house and was taken care of also. So you had to have some means. Wow. But there was a place, is what I'm saying. And I know that people don't define two-spirit the same way everywhere, but it does seem like consensus is that they don't appreciate non-Indigenous people trying to co-opt the word. So, yeah.
I saw that in the research that I was looking
that
at.
two-spirit is a cultural marker, a cultural marker. And so if the descendants of the colonizers want to start being two-spirit, they do take offense at that. So these native cultures, these indigenous cultures are people of the land. They grew up close to the land in harmony with nature. And so they notice things that people who are divorced from the land didn't notice. So there is a worm that is literally bisexual. Like one side of its body is male and the other side of the body is female. And they go in the opposite direction and then cross each other. And as they're rubbing against each other, that's how they mate. Is the male side brushes up against the female side, and that's how they mate. The male seahorse, the female has the eggs, push, and they're external. And they go into, she sort of shoots them into the male. The male has a pouch. Right. And the male seahorse carries them and gives birth. It's about a 2-year gestation. It's a long pregnancy. And then for some reason, I think he's killed. I think once he's done, they kill him. He's used up. But it's the male and female have to be in it together, or there is no procreation. I think there's a fish that does that too, that the female fish lays the eggs, and then the male fish has to guard them until they're ready. You see in nature, there's the lion king and the queen bee. So if you're when you're noticing nature, the balance is in your face, and so it doesn't surprise me that people who are attached to nature and looking at nature and aware of nature and revere nature think the earth is sacred, that they would have this better, more right than a lot of us. So we can learn from these cultures that offer us this two-spirit model. Yes. And I have friends who identify as two-spirit, and I'm several who do, 3 or 4, and they know 2 of them are even similar to each other. So you got to believe people when they tell you, because you can't necessarily just tell by looking.
Right.
I think it's one of those reminders about how complex our community really is.
Yeah.
And you can only understand our community by talking to members in our community and letting them tell their story without trying to co-opt that story or co-opt their terms, anything like that. But what does it mean to have that conversation with someone who really identifies, as two-spirit? And, I think that's what I love about the beauty. We are not in a box. Right. With gender, with binary, we can't be put in a box. And I think this is just one of those reminders, going back to indigenous tribe, people who were here before we were, people who understood it before we understood it, people who lived it before we did, are saying, this is who we are, and we need you to respect us for who we are, and not LGBT community diss us for trying to replace us with another name, because this is who we are.
Right.
There's a big controversy now about basically centrists within our movement are demanding that we assimilate, all of us, that we adopt the same language and that it not be too radical, that we're hurting our own cause. And so basically we'll just assimilate. If we won't use words like cisgender, because nobody knows what it means, and if we won't talk about privilege, and if we don't use the Q word, and if we will just assimilate, then Middle America will hear us. And we can tell our stories and they'll love us, and then they won't vote for hateful politicians. I think that is naive, and I think it's insulting. But that's for another show, and I'm going to say those same things.
And self-destructive.
But no, I never think assimilation is the cure for anything.
No, no. I mean, it actually, as you were talking about that, it reminded me of the very long acronym that we have, LGBTQIAA2S.
Right.
And that is included now.
Yep.
And it actually gives me pause that I need to learn more about this community, what they stand for, and how I can be present to them, learn their stories, because I think our diversity is what makes us really fabulous. It makes us beautiful. I don't want to assimilate.
Yeah.
No.
I just don't.
Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad.
Before we go, I want to invite you to check out our Performing Arts series. Sunshine Cathedral Center for the Performing Arts has a great acts lined up for the 2025 and 2026 season. Here is a taste of what's coming up.
Golden Ghouls, picture it. Halloween 2025 will be on our stage one night only. That's October 25th.
Then on November 7th, we welcome back Miss Coco Peru in Fuck This Shit. If this show is like her other tours de force, there will be storytelling, laughs, singing, and a moral to tie up the evening. Or maybe this one is entirely different. You'll have to come to the show to know for sure, but you already know it's going to be one of the best nights of comedy and drag artistry you will have enjoyed all year.
December 7th brings Matthew Daron's annual Holiday Fantasia, always amazing, and this year it will again be co-hosted by Varla Jean Merman.
And in 2026, there are already some great shows lined up, such as selections from Pearly, a musical based on the play Purely Victorious by Ossie Davis on February the 7th. For more information about these shows and others, and to secure your tickets, go to sunshinecathedral.org/arts.
Please like and share this episode on your social media and look for Sunshine Cathedral on Facebook or Instagram.
You can also like our individual pages on Facebook. Remember to visit sunshinecathedral.org frequently. There you will find Bishop Talk, where Bishop Darrell and I interview queer religious leaders, activists, and scholars.
Thank you for joining the Queer God Squad today. We are here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's leading progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. Remember that we're all in this together. And also remember, you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.